Halachah means the way one walks. It is the Jewish interpretation of how to apply Torah to our lives and is part of the oral law. In a Jewish legal sense, it refers to the rulings and interpretations of the Sanhedrin, men of the Great Assembly, which derive their authority from the Torah in Deuteronomy 17:9 through 12. See also Deuteronomy 1:15 through 18 and Numbers 11:24 through 25. Halakha historically was set by the Sanhedrin, which derives its authority from Torah in Devarim or Deuteronomy. Devarim 16:18 says, Judges and officers shalt thou make thee in all thy gates, which the Lord thy God giveth thee, tribe by tribe, and they shall judge the people with righteous judgment. I will read from Devarim 17:8 through 13 and give slight commentary for clarity. We read in verse 8, If there arise a matter too hard for thee in judgment, between blood and blood, between plea and plea, and between stroke and stroke, even matters of controversy, i.e., anything that may be a point of disagreement, within thy gates, then shalt thou arise, and get thee up unto the place which the Lord thy God shall choose, and thou shalt come unto the priests, the Levites, and unto the judge that shall be in those days, and thou shalt inquire, and they shall declare unto thee the sentence of judgment, meaning they shall make the final decision. And thou shalt do according to the declaration, or Hebrew, pi, meaning mouth, of the word, hadafar, which they shall show unto thee from that place which the Lord shall choose. And thou shalt observe to do according to all that they shall teach thee, according to the law which they shall teach thee, and according to the judgment which they shall tell thee, shalt thou do. Thou shalt not turn aside from the sentence which they shall declare unto thee, to the right hand nor to the left. In essence, this gives the Sanhedrin the authority to enact new laws for Israel, so long as they don't go against the written Torah. Continuing on in verse 12, And the man that doeth presumptuously, and not hearkening unto the priest, that standeth to minister there before the Lord thy God, or unto the judge, even that man shall die, and thou shalt exterminate the evil from Israel, and all the people shall hear, and fear, and do no more presumptuously. Jews around the world are not so much connected by merely philosophy or theology, but by actions, both everyday practical as well as ritual practice. The Sanhedrin was given full authority over the people of Israel, who were commanded by God to obey every word the judges instructed and every law they established. It's like case law and federal laws made based on the Constitution. Torah is like the Constitution. Halakha is case law and other legal rulings to guard the Torah and also establish ceremonial practices. The first halakhic authority was Moshe. The last legal body of judges that could enact binding laws for all of Israel were the rabbis of the Mishnah and the Talmud. The transmission of this authority from Moshe onward is recorded in the Talmud. In Pirkei Avot 1:1 we read, Moshe received the Torah from Sinai and transmitted it to Yehoshua, and Yehoshua to the elders, and the elders to the prophets, and the prophets transmitted it to the men of the Great Assembly. They said three things: be deliberate in judgment, raise up many disciples, and make a fence for the Torah. The Sanhedrin was disbanded during the destruction of the Second Temple, shortly after Yeshua's time, so legal ruling ceased for all Yisrael. After that, original shmicha, ordination is passed down from Moshe, ceased, and rabbis today only enact laws for their own communities and those who choose to adopt them, but not for all of Jewry. This is partly why there are various expressions of Judaism today. We have to remember that Israel isn't just a spiritual entity, but a nation, and just like any nation in history, it had every right to institute laws and rulings. The Torah to Israel is like the Constitution is to the United States. It is the heart of our nation. The halakhic rulings of Israel are like federal law to the United States, and are supposed to make Torah principles actual and applicable to real life. Rabbinic laws are differentiated from Torah laws in the Talmud. There are much greater consequences for the violations of Torah laws as opposed to the violation of rabbinic laws. A righteous nation is one that bases its laws according to God's Torah. America, to some degree, has been greatly blessed for patterning many of its laws after Torah. Seymour Siegel said, "We remain Jews, not because we are members of a philosophical society with superior principles, although it is a source of pride and a challenge to perpetuate and to deepen the heritage of ideas and concepts we have inherited. We remain Jews because we are part of the community of Yisrael, which has agreed to live its life as a separate community for all time in obedience to God. To be sure, certain ideas flow from this premise, but our existence is defined by the fact of the covenant, with its necessary implication of Torah and Halachah, or law. It is not defined merely by ideas." What about Yeshua? How did he view halakha? Yeshua blessed bread before meals. This is a halakhic ruling, not found anywhere in Torah. Torah actually commands us to bless God after meals. This is because Yeshua was a good Jew. Rabbi Skobach says, "It is important for us to realize that Yeshua didn't only accept what is called the written Torah, he also followed the oral Torah, halakha, and accepted rabbinic authority. In the book of Mark, chapter 2, and in Matthew, chapter 12, there's an interesting story where the rabbis ask Yeshua, "Why do your followers pick grain on the Shabbat?" Now, if Yeshua only believed in the written Torah, if Yeshua only thought that the 5 books of Moshe came from God, he would have said to the rabbis, "Where does it say in the Bible that you can't pick grain on Shabbat? It's not said anywhere in the Bible." That is, if he didn't believe in the oral Torah. You see, the oral Torah amplifies the written Torah and teaches us that harvesting grain is something we are not allowed to do. So the fact is that Yeshua never questions the rabbi's concern, and he gives the rabbis a very rabbinic answer. He says, "Do you know why my students are picking grain on the Shabbat?" He says, "Don't you know the story, what happened to David? When King David's men were very, very hungry, they were starving, and there was no other food to eat. So they went into the Mishkan, the tabernacle, and they ate from the showbread, which you are not normally supposed to eat." So Yeshua's point is a point made in Talmudic literature. In the case of Pichuach Nefesh, to save your life, you can violate the laws of the Torah. So he doesn't question whether or not his students are doing something wrong. He accepts the question that there is something wrong with picking grain on Shabbat, which we would only know from the Talmud, from the oral law or halakha, and he gives them a very rabbinic answer to their question. Yeshua often rebuked the hypocrisy of the Pharisees, yet still upheld their authority, since they were the ruling sect in those days, saying in Matthew 23, 2-3, "The scribes and the prushim, the Pharisees, sit in the chair of Moshe. Therefore, all that they tell you, do and observe." May we all walk in the footsteps of our Rebbe, Yeshua. For more teachings, info about our community, and conversion to Judaism, please visit us at b'naiavraham.com. Thanks for watching. Shalom.